Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel once again. Welcome. Thank you so much to my subscribers. I'm really grateful for you, and also all of you who comment and like. I really appreciate you guys. Please continue to subscribe, continue sharing, continue liking, continue commenting down below. So yeah, as we are going to be talking a lot about saving on this channel, on our payday chat series, I decided that maybe I should kickstart by telling my own saving story. This is one story that I am particularly proud of from back when I was younger and in varsity. And what I would like you to take away from this story is the 3 key factors that will help you in your saving journey, right? And those are number 1, setting a goal. It's easier to work something if you know exactly what it is, right? It should be obvious. So the key thing to do if you want to save successfully is to set a goal. Number 2 is to craft a plan of action that is actually achievable and practical, right? So be pragmatic with yourself. Set a plan of action that includes resources that are already within your reach, so that you can actually get going, I mean, otherwise, if you set a plan of action with things that are out of your reach, already you're setting yourself up for failure, you know what I mean? So in this case, use a plan of action with the income that you already have, that you already know for sure that you will have within your dispensation, and the third key factor in saving is to be consistent. That should be obvious, right? But anyway, these are the 3 key factors that I want to leave you with this story. So this story is about when I saved an amount just above 100,000 rand, South African rand, when I was in varsity. So this is the amount of money that I saved within a span of 4 years, because I was doing a 4-year degree, a chemical engineering degree. So the reason that I decided to save this amount of money was because I was coming to varsity obviously for the first time, and I had heard a lot of horror stories about how people go to varsity, graduate, and then they come and stay at home unemployed with no income whatsoever. And yeah, so I decided that was not going to be my story, and I decided I think I want to get myself a car so that I can drive to interviews, so that I can, just be mobile, and also save up some money to do applications to live while I'm looking for a job after varsity. And so that was my goal, and I decided maybe 100,000 is a good goal to work with. My plan was to divide it into 2, 50,000 for an old second-hand car that I could get my hands on for that much, and 50,000 to pay for food and rent, maybe for 5 months. I don't know what I was thinking, that 5 months would, 50,000 would suffice for 5 months, but I was young and none the wiser, so it's fine, it's whatever. So how it started was when I came to varsity. That was 9 years ago. I think it was 9 years ago. Oh my word, I'm old. Anyway, I think it was 9 years ago, coming from my first year, and all I had was around 2,000 rand that I had of my own. I used to sell Avon when in between finishing high school and waiting to go into varsity. So I had saved around 2,000 rand, I think it was, and then my mom had given me pocket money. I was coming to Cape Town for the first time. I was gonna study at the University of Cape Town, so I was coming to Cape Town for the first time, And yeah, my mom didn't want me to struggle at all. So she gave me a pocket money of 5,000 rand. I already had an accommodation, I had a bursary. There was a plan for my sustenance, right? So my mom just gave me that pocket money just to get through like the first few weeks or a month, because the bursary that I had was notorious for not paying in time. So she gave me about 5,000 rand, and yeah, I already had accommodation, but it was a self-catering accommodation, so I needed to buy myself food. So that was just to, sustain me in that time while I'm waiting for my bursary payout. So then that was that, but I didn't spend that money actually, because she didn't know I had savings of my own, which are like around 2,000 rand, which is enough really, because the bursary took about a month to pay out. So how the bursary worked, it paid for accommodation and tuition, but it also had a stipend. So it had I think it was 5,600 rand stipend at the beginning for books and a laptop maybe, and then it had a per month stipend of 1,200. So my mom gave me 5,000, and I'll actually put a calculator so that we keep track. So my mom gave me 5,000 rand, which I saved all of it because I did have money to buy groceries for the month, and the bursary did pay out after a month. And then so I saved 5,000 rand at the beginning, and then the bursary paid after a month. It paid 5,600 for the book allowance. But nobody buys books. I think I bought like 1 or 2 books in Principles of Chemical Engineering, and it was probably like 300, and it was secondhand. So I think I spent about the 600 on the actual books, and then I saved the 5,000 at the end of that month. So now I had 10,000. So per month the bursary would give 1,200, I think it was, and my mom used to match that. So the bursary would give that 1,200 for 10 months in a year, because that's when you're at school. At the times you're on holiday, school holidays. So so my mom would match that and give me 1,200 rand as well in my first year. Sometimes she'd give me more on good days, but let's just work with the general one, which is 1,200. So what I did is I used to spend all my stipend from the bursary just for my sustenance, because I was staying in a self-catering raise. I think I used to spend around 800 on groceries. At the time, 800 was really enough. What 800 could afford you then is what maybe 2,000 to 2,500 can afford you now for grocery for one person. And that my 800 actually included luxuries, and luxuries have gone up a lot. I'm talking chocolates, prawns, and things, because I was that girl. And those sort of things, and they've gone up a lot now. So 800 was enough, and then the remaining 400 I would spend it. I hardly had time to spend it. I was an engineering student, which is a blessing in disguise, because then I could reach my saving goals. So that first year I saved all of the pocket money that I was getting from my mom, and I was spending all of the money that I was getting from the bursary. So at the end of the year, I had saved 12,000 from my mom's pocket money, plus the 10,000 at the beginning of the year that I managed to save from my mom's pocket money when I came, and then the book allowance from the bursary. So where we at now, we were at 22,000. That's what he had at the end of my first year. So in my second year, it just continued the same way, but my mom didn't give me the big pocket money this time, because we were in the roll of things. We knew the bursary would pay. So the bursary money, I think in the beginning of my second year, had gone up to around 6,000 rand for the book allowance, and I really was not buying books. We were now using soft copies. So I saved all of that 6,000 rand, and the stipend had gone up to 1.4. I think it went up in my second year. And still I was still spending that stipend for my sustenance, for my groceries, and for my just nice time. And my mom also matched that in my second year, so I used to save all of my mom's pocket money. I just continued. That was my plan of action. I just continued consistently saving all of that. So at the end of my second year, I had saved an additional 20,000 rand, 14,000 rand from so 1.4 times 10 months. Plus the 6,000 rand from the book allowance from the bursary in the beginning of the year. So I saved an additional 20,000 rand in my second year. But the 14,000 rand that I saved that second year, I actually gave it back to my mom. My mom was working on a project, rental. She was building a rental property in our yard back home, so I decided to actually give it back to her. What I did with it, my mom had paid for everything for the house. All I did was just to I just changed the basic furnishings that she was going to use, like the tiles, ceilings, and paint. She was going to use basic ones, and I decided to use ones to my liking, and so I just paid for the extra cost for those things. So I think I spent all of that 14,000 rand there. So we're just carrying on 6,000 this time. From my second year. So now we are at 28,000. That's what I had left at the end of my second year. By the way, during school holidays, I did make money other ways, like babysitting my mom's friends' grandparents. Grandchildren. So I made money from things like that, and I was still selling Avon during holidays sometimes. So I did make some money from that, but that's money I'll spend that money. I can't account for it today, but that's fine. So at the end of my second year, I only had 6,000 rand saved, so we are at 28,000 rand now. So in my third year, I actually asked my mom to stop giving me pocket money. I thought I was grown now. I wanted to go out into the world and be a responsible adult who takes care of herself. So I still got the 6,000 book allowance from the bursary, and I saved all of that. But what I did this time, I got a tutoring job. I used to tutor. I think there was an NGO, I forgot its name. So I used to tutor their kids who subscribed to that NGO at that time. I used to tutor on weekends, and in a month I used to earn about 1,500. I did that for about 10 months, and I saved all of that money. I saved the 1,500 that I was making from the tutoring job, and I spent the money from the bursary. We know the role now. That's what we do. We spend the stipend money, and then the money that I worked for, I saved all of it. So at the end of my third year, I had saved 15,000 rand from my tutoring job and 6,000 rand from the book allowance. So that comes to about 21,000 rand saved in my third year. But now in my third year, a lot happened. Actually, I got introduced to all sorts of things. There were pyramid schemes at the time. There was a lot going on, but I also got introduced to Bitcoin, and I got myself some Bitcoins. I think I spent about 3,500 rand on Bitcoins from my savings, so 15 minus 3.5, that's 11.5 saved in cash, and then I put 3,500 rand in Bitcoins. I think I separated it. I had two wallets. I put one in Altcoin Trader, I think it was called. I put 2,000 in there, and I put 1,500 in BitX. BitX is now called Luno. It was called BitX at the time, so I put that around 1,500 in BitX at the time and forgot about it. So we are at 11,500 that I saved minus the amount of money that I put in my Bitcoin. At the time when I was buying Bitcoin, actually, Bitcoin was fluctuating between 8,000 Rand and 10,000 Rand for one Bitcoin. So let's take the average. Let's say that I bought Bitcoin at the price of 9,000 Rand per Bitcoin. Obviously I hate myself today because I spend that money, but I'll tell the story. So that was in my third year, so I saved 6,000 for the book allowance and 11,500 from my tutoring job. So that's, how much is that? 17,500. Then we added up. I'll put a calculator. It's difficult keeping track. So going into my fourth year, I got a sub-wardening job at the res that I was staying in at the University of Cape Town. What a sub-warden does is help the warden in the running of the residence and managing residents' issues and that sort of thing. I think my salary then was 3, so I left the tutoring job because I was in my fourth year. It was a lot, I couldn't do everything. The sub-wardening job was kind of easy to do because I stayed there, you know. I used to earn, I think the salary was 3,200 Rand. I think that's how much I was earning. I earned that for 11 months. The first salary, I put it on my spending budget. So we saved 10 months of that salary, which is 32,000 Rand. So in my fourth year, we saved 32,000 Rand. In the same manner, had a 6,000 Rand book allowance. I wasn't buying books, so I saved that money plus the 32,000 Rand from my sub-wardening job. But then what happened guys, we had a bit of technical challenges, but we're back now, and I actually went and got my phone and did some calculations. So we were in my fourth year, I think we were. So in my fourth year, I saved my sub-warden salary for 10 months. The first month I put it in my spending budget, I spent it. So that came to about 32,000 Rand, and I saved my book allowance for that year. So I think we are at 83,500 Rand. So that's what I had at the end of my fourth year. But now towards the end of my fourth year, Bitcoin had surged to about 176,000 Rand, somewhere in the middle of the year. Remember, I bought it when it was fluctuating between 8,000 and 10,000 Rand for a whole Bitcoin. And I had separate wallets, remember. The one wallet where I had 2,000, I think it was Altcoin Trader wallet, I used that to buy a second-hand car. That was spent. And then the one which was in BitX, which is now Luno, which I had 1,500 Rand, which I had bought at around 9,000 Rand for a Bitcoin. So now my 1,500 Rand was now worth. I cashed out the 2,000 Rand when Bitcoin was around 176,000 Rand to buy a car, a second-hand car, which is going strong till today, by the way, which is good. And then the 1,500 Rand, which was in BitX, I cashed it out when Bitcoin was slumping. So I panicked. I think I sold it, it was 160 something thousand Rand when I cashed out. obviously I hate myself today. Yeah, so but anyway, it will be a story for another day. We will talk about building your conviction on the investments that you make and having patience in investment, you know. But maybe we can observe a moment of silence for my heartbreak. Jokes. So yeah, so I cashed out my BitX wallet at, how much was it? I think it was 27,000 Rand when I cashed it out. So it moved from 1,500 Rand that I put in to about 27,000 Rand. So yeah, that's how I got to plus 100,000 Rand in my 4 years of varsity life. 83,500 Rand plus 27,000, that came to about 110,500. That's how much I had at the end of my 4th year. And I didn't need to buy a car now because I used my other Bitcoin wallet to finance my second-hand car. So yeah, that's the story. That's how it unfolded. And like I said in the beginning, what I want you to take away from the story is it's important to have a goal. I had a goal. Maybe it wasn't the greatest goal. I was none the wiser. I was young, but I had a goal nonetheless, and I worked towards it. So I had a plan of action with resources, a practical one with resources that are within my reach. So I knew that I was going to have a bursary that was going to give me a stipend. I knew that my mom intended to match the stipend and give me pocket money, so I planned to save that pocket money. So some of the things, I never knew I'd get jobs and whatever, but they just happened on me, and because they found me with a plan, I just incorporated them into my plan. So yeah, that's what I'd like you to take away from the story. That's how I got to 110,000 Rand at the end of my 4th year. And yeah, I'm very proud of the story. And I know 100,000 is not a lot of money. It's really not a lot of money to some of you, but to an ordinary person, that is something. And I was a student, so this story can also teach you that you can really make something out of really small resources. I mean, what's 1,400 Rand that I was saving? But it got me somewhere, So this is a story of triumph, one of my saving stories that I'm proud of and I like telling, as you can tell. But the purpose of it is really to teach and to show you that with consistency, with a plan, no matter how small your resources are, you can get somewhere if you put a plan in place. You can really get somewhere, and if you set a goal and put a plan in place and keep consistent, keep at it, you'll get somewhere. So I hope this story encourages you. I don't know who this is for, but if it helps just one person, then I know I would have succeeded. So yeah, that's the end of my story, guys, before this video becomes too long. So yeah, guys, that's my story. I intend to keep sharing more of my journey and the things that I've learned with saving, budgeting, investing, all of that jazz. We're going to talk about it in the series. So yeah, keep subscribed, keep inviting others to subscribe. Please like and please comment down below. Let's have engagement, and if you can tell me some of your saving stories, I'd love to hear them. So yeah, cheers guys.